Hi everybody, it's Alyssa Katie with the Greater Hewitt Chamber, and today we are continuing our webinar series. Special thanks to our sponsor, Weber Electronics. Today we have Brian Black with Brian Black Coaching. He is also one of our board members for the Greater Hewitt Chamber Board of Directors. Today we're going to talk a little bit about soft skills and just being able to communicate with different generations. And today we have Communications Coordinator Megan Pate leading us off. So Megan, if you want to come on up.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, how are you doing?
It's good to see you.
Good. It's good to see you. I appreciate you having me.
Good.
today.
No, we love it. We're so excited. So just to get everybody started and kind of caught up on who you are and what you do, you want to just give us an intro?
Sure. As Megan said, my name's Brian Black, and I have my own life coaching and executive business coaching business here in Waco. I've had that for about 7 years or so. I have 2 sons and a daughter. And we've been here for about 20 years in Waco. Braden just graduated from high school, which I can't believe that's happened.
Crazy.
Then I have a special needs kiddo, Caden. You'll hear a little bit of me talk about that. So when I mention Caden, you'll know who that is. And then I have my daughter's Aubrey. She's 11. And we've just really enjoyed, I've enjoyed being a part of Chamber and just, I appreciate you having me out here and share a little bit more about soft skills. And the generations are changing.
Yes, they are.
We're going to go all the way back to the 40s and 50s and all the way back to, right now present, and talk about how soft skills, leadership skills, all the things have changed.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll just jump in.
Sure, let's do it.
Where do you want to start?
Give kind of a little bit of intro so that y'all know what I'm going to do up front. Is I'm going to talk about the 7 most prevalent soft skills that kind of lead to success from both an individual standpoint and also from an employer standpoint. Because I know a lot of y'all out there are employers. Some of you, this is going to apply to just personally. So if you got a piece of paper, whenever I cover one of the actual, category, if you want to call it, take some notes and just ask yourself, what one thing could I do that would help me be better at being the number one, leadership. Leadership 20 years ago meant something totally different than it does now. I mean, you think about the leaders we had, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And they came from a generation of those that had been brought up in a world without the technology that we have. No social media. They were who they were, right? They don't have that social media identity. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But with leadership, with soft skills, we're talking integrity, we're talking character, we're talking the ability to communicate, kind of like you and I are.
Yes.
We're not behind a computer. We're actually talking face to face.
Or
phones, or whatever it may be. So the leadership aspect is kind of where it starts.
Okay.
And the number one thing, research shows about leadership is that it starts with servanthood. And so when you're looking at what the students today are being and the individuals today are being introduced to, service is not a big part of that. No. And back, like I said, 20, 30 years ago, it was something that people knew about, they'd heard about, talked about, they knew, what serving was about. And, and I'm in part of a generation that, we didn't know a whole lot about service, but I think the opportunities are more, available out there now. The Chamber's a perfect example. All the events that we have and all the things that we get to do and serve others is just great. So leadership is the first one.
Yeah. You talk about so leadership, but leaders lead teams.
Right.
And teams kind of make teamwork makes the dream work.
Exactly. And so that goes. The leadership, teamwork's a huge part of that. Yeah. A lot of times, people that go into leadership roles, they don't know how to manage people. And so it's very important that soft skill be taught. There's a lot of people that can get up in front of people and talk, or they may look like a leader, but when it comes right down to it, they may not have the ability to be flexible and the ability to change on a fly, and the ability to problem solve, and the ability to do a lot of the things that you have to do as a leader, and as you develop teams within an organization.
Yeah.
So the teamwork is especially the second soft skill that researchers are saying is important as well.
That's very neat. So I know you've touched on communication a couple of times.
Sure.
It's super important.
Sure.
It's something we're lacking
right
in a younger generation.
Absolutely.
Tell us
Absolutely.
about it.
Well, the communication part is key.
Yeah.
And here's the reason why. You look at the types of communication. I mean, I like to call it Generation I. Okay. Mm-hmm. Probably your generation.
Oh,
better known as the millennials.
Uh-huh.
We love the millennials, right? Mm-hmm. We love them.
Sure.
Okay.
I hope so.
We do. I do. There's a lot of things out of each generation that come out as far as communication goes. But you think of where we've gone just in the last 10 years, and even back to 20. The generation that's out there right now, Generation Z, is those people that were born between the years of 2000 and 2018. Mm-hmm. So the students that are graduating like last year, this year, they're the ones that are fixing to shape our future.
Okay.
And basically that comes down to what I like to call Generation IY. And that is one, Instagram. Mm-hmm. It's all about, I to them. Mm-hmm. You got iPhone, you got just all kinds of things that start with I.
Yeah.
You can throw in the iPad, the iPhone, all those things. And so everything communication-wise is surrounded by that.
Yeah.
And that's not how it used to be. I mean, you may not remember life without technology.
I do.
But, okay.
I'm a little older maybe than you think I am.
Oh, no. But I remember the day when we didn't have cell phones, and we could put them down, and it wasn't, I didn't have that to communicate with my son or whoever that might be. So that's a big thing with communication. There's lots of different types of communication, and this is one. Yeah. But it's changed so much that I can't even go into telling everyone about the way it's changed. And that is an issue in the workplace, especially.
Yeah.
When you see employees, doing this right here when they're supposed to be working, right? It makes an employer mad. You're paying them to do a job. Yeah. Yet they're posting things on Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of thing.
On the clock.
On the clock. Mm-hmm. So communication's a huge key.
Mm-hmm. So creating those problems, and then do they have this particular generation,
right.
mine may be included, do they have the skills to solve those issues that they create?
That's part of the generational, part of things. That is the key, is they're not necessarily in environments where it's being taught.
Okay.
You go back, there's the traditionalists and the baby boomers who were in the 40s and 50s. There was about 73 million of those individuals that were born during that time. Okay. Then you go to the baby boomers / Gen X population, and it went down to around 65 million. And so what we've got coming up now is with Generation Z, is they're the largest generation ever. It's going to be 86 million individuals between 2000 and 2018. I
did not know that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
It is. And so it shows the importance of the soft skills being something that's taught. I've done some things in businesses before and worked with them, and simple things such as shaking a hand. They don't know how to do it. I worked with some students at a school that I consult with here in Waco, and I said, we need to write thank you notes to the people that have come and done this or that for us. Some of them didn't know what a thank you note was. Some of them pulled out their computer and they were like, so what's their email address? Well, no, we're going to learn how to actually write a thank you note, right?
Yeah, handwritten.
And so those kind of touchable moments or opportunities are things that, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's at work, whatever it may be, we're not taking the time to actually be proactive with those things.
Okay. So you have kids that are, so is it this age that's just now starting to get into jobs?
Absolutely.
And what's their work
Absolutely.
ethic looking like?
Absolutely.
Because I know
So-
you say baby boomers, and they've got something to say about work ethic in a
Yeah,
younger
they do.
generation.
They do. You know, the reason the Gen Z, and I kind of focus on that group mainly, is because they're the people that are being interviewed right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're the people that are, you know, fixing to walk out and get the jobs. They're the ones that are going to be expected to communicate and talk, not only just face to face, but they've got, you know, a challenge ahead of them because they've got 3 or 4 different things. I mean, if you look at what you have these days, I like to call some of these people screensavers.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got not only 1, but maybe 2, you know, computers in front of them. Then they've got their iPad, and then they've got their phone. So 4 to 5 screens in front of you going, you know, like
All
that.
4 on different.
Yeah, multitasking. They've got a big responsibility and a lot to learn. Whereas in the baby boomer generation and Gen X, we didn't have all that. So we can't teach that to these students. They know what's going on. A lot of times we don't. And so the teaching part and mending that gap is something that, you know, out there we're trying to work on with businesses. But sometimes it's a challenge because things are happening so fast. And the key in all this is to just really make it a priority to mix these things in with your businesses. Because I can tell you right now, in just hiring people, that if they can't shake your hand, that's the first 2 seconds of me meeting them, that they're not going to get a job, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, because if you're out in the community, you're doing whatever you need to do. I mean, you've got to shake
Everybody
hands.
wants that firm handshake and that eye contact.
Absolutely. So that's 5 or 6 of them. You know, if you go to interpersonal skills, we're doing that.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're caught behind a computer,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Or we're looking at our phones, or we're doing whatever it may be. So a lot of times, in some things I'll do some mock interviews, different things like that that'll get people talking.
You can't
Right.
get that job if you don't sit in front of somebody face to face and have a conversation.
Exactly. So the interpersonal skills are very important. So that's another key thing. And the number 7 type of thing that I'm seeing is financial awareness.
Okay.
You know, used to cash, we used to carry more cash.
Yeah.
These days, we don't carry hardly any
cash almost.
Right? My son Braden went on a school trip to Disney World probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I went to hand him some cash, you know, to eat lunch on and this and that, and he said, "Well, what do I need this for?" And I'm like, "Braden, you know, you got to eat, you got to do this." He goes, "Yeah, but I've got a credit card, and I was just going to ask you if I could borrow it." You know?
Yeah.
So they're thinking that they don't need the cash. Everything's credit. And that's something that's not being taught.
How to manage that successfully without it turning into an issue. Yeah.
And I was in front of a group speaking and asked them the question of how many of y'all understand how to actually balance a checkbook. And probably 2 or 3 out of 10 raised their hands. They had never actually sat down and done that. They've done it online. They've done it, you know, just walking in the bank. They've done whatever, but everything. There's nothing that foundationally has been.
They were doing on a regular basis.
Right.
Practicing.
And so it's great. I'm not saying technology is bad at all. I love it, but the foundational part of it and the soft skills part of it, if we're not making sure that foundation's there, things can, you know, go one way or the other.
Awry.
Yeah, awry. Thank you for that.
Well, is there anything else? I know that those were the 8 that you kind of wanted to cover. Do you want to bring us home?
Yeah. One of the things that I often talk to people about is what I like to call my 4 Ps.
Okay.
And that's just, you got to have a plan,
Mm-hmm.
a purpose for your life in order to perform and produce at what you do.
Okay.
And so, with soft skills, if you're going to try to do that with your company, if you're going to try to do that with students, whoever it may be, coming up with a plan, helping them come up with a purpose of who they are. They're living in the moment right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, FOMO, F-O-M-O,
Fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out. You're so good. Fear of missing out. That's where they are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are right here, and immediate answers. They want it. But
Where's your future if
where's
you're
your future?
constantly thinking
Plan,
about the
exactly.
present?
So plan, purpose. Everything is based upon performance when we get into a job. They need to understand how to perform, and then with that, the purpose is going to be ultimately what we need to know, because that's going to help us understand how to communicate. What soft skills do we need?
Yeah.
And so that can narrow their path as far as what they work on. But dedication, determination, discipline, those 3 things go along with soft skills.
Mm-hmm.
You have to work on it. You can't just come up with it and make it happen. So get involved in something, a class, whatever it may be, to help you accomplish those things and become the expert, because there's other generations coming, and to be recognized as someone that can actually have the soft skills that they need to succeed. You'll have the opportunity to help someone down the road,
Yeah.
and you never know what kind of difference it's going to make in their life.
Well, that's incredible, and we're so happy that you
Oh, yeah.
came and shared with us. I learned so much. I did not learn fear of missing out. I knew that one already.
There you go. That's good.
But we just want to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much, Brian, for coming.
Sure.
And
you.
we, if you need anything, how can people get a hold of you?
If you need to get a hold of me, or there's any questions you might have, my email address is brian@brianblackcoaching.com. So you can email me at that, spelled with an I. So Brian Black Coaching. And then my phone number, 254-495-2527. Feel free to give me a call there. Would love to talk to you and expand.
Yeah.
There's so much more out there. But as far as today goes, I think we've laid a pretty good foundation.
Yeah, and we encourage you to reach out to Brian. And also, we're going to post this on our website and then our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to watch this at any time and get all of the stuff.
There you go.
So thank you again, Brian.
Okay, all right,
and
thank you.
It was lovely to have you.
Uh-huh.